Dallas Owen.
Yes.
Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy.
Yes.
Brandon Adams.
Yes.
Trevor Vice Chairman.
Yes.
Trevor Secretary.
Yes.
Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you, members of council and executives. Like I mentioned last night, I'm going to get us caught up on our agenda. So I'm going to ask our recording secretary if we could give a call to the SWO Parole, Enrollment Office, Legal Office. If they do have time and they're ready, they could present. Until then, we're on break.
You said no. Credit union's not coming today.
No, they already got their issue resolved, what they wanted.
Good afternoon, Tribal Council. I have a few contract issues, however, not one of them. These were provided to Tribal Council, so I'll just start with the first one. The first one is Angelique Eaglewoman. She does not need a motion, however, I did provide council with the draft contract. If anyone has any questions on that, let me know, but if not, that is a draft contract ready for signature. A motion was already made previously on September 14th, so just bringing that to you if you have any questions.
Thank you, Megan.
Second action item, interim prosecutor Karen Gangle, contract extension that was also provided to council. The contract will be again extended from October 15th, 2022 to September 28th or February 28th, 2023. There are a few changes to that extension document, but if there are no questions, like I said, that was previously sent to council. I'm just seeking a motion on that one. Motion to approve the contract extension for interim prosecutor Karen Gangle. And again, the extension is October 15th, 2022 to February 28th, 2023, and to authorize the chairman to execute that contract.
Floor is open. So moved by Tokanoa. Second by Iagapta. Calling for a question. Question by old agency.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A.J. Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Yes. Dion Crawford. Curtis Bissonnette. Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Brandon Adams.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairman.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
No.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you, members of council and execs. Anything else, Megan?
Yes, council, I also have contract for the public defender's position, Wynette Lenling. Tribal Council previously made a motion on January 6th, 2022 to enter into contract with Ms. Lenling. However, due to ongoing questions and negotiations, there was a delay. Now we have come to an agreement, which I did provide that to Tribal Council. So if there are no questions on that draft contract, I'd like a motion to approve contract with public defender position, Wynette Lenling, and to authorize the chairman to sign.
Thank you, Megan. Floor is open to leadership. So moved by Mr. Vice Chair. Second by Tokanoa. Question by Iagapta.
Tribal Vice Chairman. Yes. Curtis Bissonnette. Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Brandon Adams.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
E. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson.
Yes.
Dion Crawford. Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you, members of council and execs. I just want to remind everybody, even the council, make sure you use your mic so that way this gives your listening audience and your constituents so they can listen to how you vote. Back to legal.
One more contract issue, Tribal Council. Tribal Council had made a previous motion on a contract dated May 14th of 2021. That contract, due to, I was informed of COVID issues and turnover of staff, that contract was not fulfilled during that time frame. However, the work was completed most recently. If council chooses, I'm seeking a motion 2022, from May 13th, 2021 to October 31st, 2022.
Floor is open for leadership.
And that agreement is with Big Coulee Made.
So moved by Madam Secretary. Second by Tokanoa. Question by Iagapta.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsy.
Yes.
Brandon Adams.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. Haley Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Deanna Crawford.
Can you read the motion back to me, please?
To extend the contract with Cooley Maid to providing services for Head Start, correct, Megan?
What?
Is that providing services for Head Start?
For the education department.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette? Yes. Tribal Vice Chairman? Yes. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, members of council and execs. Anything else, Megan?
Those are my only action items.
Thank you for your time and also
Yep.
being prepared if whenever our agenda is being moved like that. And thank you for being prepared to be ready.
Thank you, Trevor.
Motion approved, the legal office report. So moved by Ebony Swim. Second by what agency? Question by Iagapta. This Kakiza Haska, please hold your questions. I know you arrived late, so you could save those. After vote call. Call for vote, please.
Dallas Owen? Yes. Haley Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Deanna Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy.
Yes.
Brandon Adams?
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairman? Yes. Tribal Secretary?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, council and execs. Before you take off, Megan, Mr. Vice Chair has a question.
Council and execs, just an update. Been trying to work with Megan to try to get her some help. Trying to do that any which way, but I did tell her, just to give you guys a heads up, you know, we're having a hard time finding lawyers, so find people qualified that can help her with the paperwork and stuff like that. So just to let you know that there's going to probably be some advertisements and stuff if there's any other different, because we don't have the lawyer expertise, but hopefully we can get somebody that can help her with the smaller stuff.
I'll do it, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, just a heads up. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Yep, thank you, Tribal Council.
Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
Megan, just a question. That sole source request for member child protection, we passed that motion for an attorney specializing in ICWA. So that went to procurement.
Correct.
Yeah, so we just have to wait on that then.
Yeah, I did reach out to Child Protection to see if she could provide me information. I've not received that yet, so once I receive that, I think we can address it.
Thank you. We need to push that along because it's supposed to be over this month, actually. Curtis,
Correct.
floor is yours.
It also didn't specify that in the motion either. It just said for legal services. Oh,
You guys decided yesterday, so we were going to put that clarification in. Okay.
It was. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So can procurement just go over to child protection and talk to them, or, you know, I mean, I think it's an urgent issue. And I think, you know, procurement just needs to,
Mr. Vice Chair will address that since this is administration.
and if that can be done right away.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Members of council, I know we're moving ahead with our agenda. Verlin, was you going to present Zama's report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Lindsay's on her way in.
Okay. Whenever Verlin's ready. Mr. Vice Chair, can you chair real quick? I gotta.
Remember the discussion we had with Judge Hopkins? This is just the amendment that we were okay with by the discretion of inclement weather and stuff like that. So floor would be open to, or did we already do this one?
Yeah, we already discussed
Okay,
it.
well, Verlin,
Yeah.
it's all you, Verlin.
Good morning, Tribal Council. I'll be presenting the enrollment report for Zelma. Just want to apologize in advance if I mispronounce anybody's name, and I also have a bit of a tickle in my throat, so if I start coughing, I apologize for that too. Yes. Okay, so we'll start off with the Exhibit A. We have 4 applicants requesting enrollment with Assistant Wapton Oyate. They are Tayton Daniel Dudash Arguello, Agatha Anna Mijanos Donis, Hannah Catherine Spearling, Latasha Lee Wilson. Under Exhibit B, we have 10 applicants requesting enrollment. Emmanuel Luis Aguilar Saul, Armani Rashad Amos, Trayson Roy Barse, Harley Louise Fairchild, Keelani Lee Haigo, Mariana Josephine Marie Howard, Cedar Wanietu Hawi Monchamp, Aurelia Joe Montelo, Benjamin Cedar Montelo, Tashunka Tachihi Seaboy, and under Exhibit C, we have 2 applicants requesting enrollment. Stetson Reno Gray, Nova Lee Love Seaboy. And under Exhibit D, we have 1 individual requesting relinquishment from enrollment with Assistant Wapton Oyate. That is Presley Joe Neiman to enroll with the Winnebago tribe.
Thank you, Verlin. Members of council, for Exhibit A, is there a motion to accept the 4 applicants? So moved by Curtis. Oh, that's a tie, but I'm going to go with my good ear. I'm going to go with old agency. Question by Tokanoa.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Brandon Adams?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson?
Yes.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairman? Tribal Secretary?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, members. Applicants, a motion to accept. So moved by Curtis. Second by Madam Secretary. Question by Mr. Old Agency, Mr. Adams.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Brandon Adams?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson?
Yes.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairman? Tribal Secretary?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, members of council. Moving on to Exhibit C with 2 applicants. Motion made by Curtis to accept. Second by Old Agency. Question by Tokanoa.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Brandon Adams?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson?
Yes.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, council. Moving on to Exhibit D with 1 relinquishment. So moved by Emily Swim to accept. Second by Old Agency. Question by Mr. Vice Chair.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson?
Yes.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Brandon Adams?
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion
Thank you, council and execs. Moving back to Verlin to finish the report.
Okay, tribal council, to start today, we had 14,709 tribal members. We added 16 from today's exhibits. We had 1 relinquishment from today, and there were 17 under the deceased report for September. It brings our total enrollment after today to 14,707. Of those, 6,275 live on the reservation, 8,432 live off the reservation. And for registered voters, for Bikuli, we have 1,114, Buffalo Lake, 605, Enemy Swim, 1,822, Chlipa Veblen, 1,536, Lake Traverse, 1,279, Long Hollow, 1,114, tied with Bikuli. And Old Agency, we have 1,450. 10% of the registered voters is 892, 20% 1,784, and 30% is 2,676.
Thank you, Verlin, for giving the report on behalf of Zama Flute for enrollment. To my colleagues, is there a motion to accept the enrollment
Motion.
report? So moved by Curtis. Second by Iagapta. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Brandon Adams,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes.
Thank you, tribal council.
Thank you, members of council and the execs. At this time, we only have SWO parole report, then we have the Old Agency exec committee. Enrollment is scheduled for 11:15, so we'll be in break until then. Remind the holiday board to make sure to remember do the general counsel for Chris around December, so they usually honor their elders. Make sure we get that, and they honor our hours that left us. Might as well start working on that early and last minute.
Are we on break, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, we are.
They got a hold of parole, she is on her way.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as she comes back, we'll take care of it. Audience, so make sure you talk loud and clear. Your mic is off.
There you go. Okay. Good morning. My name is Joan White. I'm the director of the Sex Offender Registry Office and Parole. I'm here today because our interagency agreement, and actually it's an intergovernmental agreement, expired on June 30th of this year. And so we need an approval for another 2 years for our parole program. So just to kind of give you a little bit of information, we lost our last parole agent around June 1st of this year, so we just hired another agent. And so when I sent this agreement to legal, we didn't realize that there were some issues that were going to be coming up with the new parole agent. Our old parole agent, you know, she didn't realize how much work it was, so she wanted to take all of these cases. So we're talking about 80 some cases, and I know one time the secretary had mentioned that's a lot of cases. It is. And so we've been working since June on these cases with the Watertown agent, and then our new agent that we hired, we realized that there's no way she can handle all of these cases. So that's what this memo is about. It didn't make it into the draft agreement, and the reason is because it's just come up, you know, within the last week or two. We're trying to figure out, how do we do this? How do we keep these cases that want to be on our tribal parole program, but at the same time, you know, so that they could take advantage of the wellness team and things like that. So my new suggestion, and like I said, it's not in the draft, but if you look on the second page, one of the solutions is to assign all the cases to our parole program that want to be on the program, and then but they'll be supervised up to 65 cases by our parole agent, and then the rest of them to be supervised under a state agent who will work closely with our parole agent, our SWO parole agent, but they'll remain under our jurisdiction. So then they can't do anything with those cases unless our wellness team and the director approves it. And there's a few cases that we don't have any control over that are in the agreement anyway. It wouldn't apply to those ones, but the majority of them, they will. And so what I'm asking for is a motion to approve our draft and also to add this section to the draft of that agreement.
Thank you for presenting, Joan. Going in order, Dion, and I'm going to go over to Haipa right after Dion. Going in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it says that parolees being supervised by the state parole agent would not be on the tribal parole program and under the wellness team. So how many would that be?
Well, they would be under the wellness team and on the parole program, but we're talking about 20. It could be up to 25 cases. Sometimes it's larger than that. We don't know, but it would be anything over 65 cases. And so at one time we had 100.
Yeah.
And so it just depends on what those numbers look like.
So what's the success of the program? Do you have any data as far as how many people are being, that the recidivism rate has declined, or that we, thank you, or that we, you know, that there's indicators of a successful model?
I think prior the pandemic, we were doing fairly well. And I think it's because we had programs up and running, we had our treatment programs and things like that. But since the pandemic, it's totally gone downhill. I mean, we just don't have the services here like we used to. But the good news is that we actually got a reentry grant that was awarded to the tribe. And I think that's going to make a huge difference to this program and to our community and our parolees that are coming out of the institution, because they'll start working with them while they're in the institution, and when they come out, they'll be working with our wellness team, our parole program, and all of the other programs that actually decided that they wanted to partner with us on that grant. And so I think we're going to see a difference. I don't want to say that this program failed, because it hasn't. I think that we're maintaining it, But with the pandemic, it's hard to tell with those numbers because we've had a lot of people that violated, but when they come to our wellness team, we've always given them extra chances and said, okay, let's work with you, let's try and get you into a program, but sometimes the programs are not always out there to, to help them. So I still think it's a viable program. I still think we're doing what we need to do, and I still think that it's needed here.
So the duration of this agreement would be 2 years?
2 years. And it's been 2 years. This is the 5th agreement.
Thank you, Dan. Moving on to Gypsy. Floor is yours.
Thank you. I have a question. Is it possible to get another parole agent under your program? I mean, because that's a lot of work, and it seems like it could improve if you had another agent.
The numbers aren't large enough yet.
Really?
And so, yeah. So if you're talking about right now, we have about 83 cases. It's not enough to add another parole agent here locally.
Okay.
But if they get into the 120s, then that could justify that. But we don't want it to get to the 120s. We're hoping with the reentry program that we're going to see a significant decrease with them working with this program. That's the intent.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve this intergovernmental agreement as requested by Joan White.
Motion on the floor by Haipa. But before I ask for a second, there is a going in order to question by Madam Secretary.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had my hand raised. Joan, it says a week ago, we decided we would split some of the cases between the tribal parole agent and a state parole agent. The issue is that the parolees being supervised by the state parole agent would not be on the tribal parole program and under the wellness team. How do you differentiate which parolees will go to the state parole agent? And did the wellness team make this recommendation to you, or who decided to do this?
The way the agreement runs now, the way that it is now, that's what would happen. So if you look at the second page of my memo, I'm recommending that all parolees be under this program, but that some of them would have to be supervised by the state agent because those numbers are just too large for our tribal parole agent. And so that's what I'm asking for. So right now in the agreement, when we don't have a parole agent, the state takes over and supervises those cases, but the wellness team in our office we still have the final say in what happens, except for there's a couple cases we don't, exceptional cases when they commit the more serious crimes. And so that's what I'm asking for, is that for them all to be on the program, but we would have to have the state agent supervise some of those cases. We're talking about right now about 23 cases.
That the state parole agent would supervise?
But she would work closely with our tribal parole agent, which she does right now, because our tribal parole agent isn't up in, she's not working at full capacity yet. So it's happening right now. That would continue to happen, and those cases are still under the wellness team. They're still being supervised by us. We still make the final decisions on those. And just so you know, I contacted the state about this because this is something that just came up, and they're totally fine with it.
Does the tribal parole program operate? Okay, so the tribal parole program is the oversight is with the state parole?
No, we oversee that program, but if you remember what the agreement says is that a lot of the training is done by the state. The state provides all the training, they provide all the funding and things like that, but the wellness team and our program oversees those cases. We make the final decision on what happens to them, except for those certain circumstances. And so we would actually, if we add the second clause to the agreement, we would still oversee all of those cases, and we would decide what happens to them. So that's the intent.
Okay, that's my concern, I guess. By turning over several parole cases to the state, how is that going to diminish the SWO parole program in the long run? I mean,
It's-
are we going to be losing ground, losing footing with our program because we can't handle them?
No, we would still oversee all of those cases. And so even if there was a state agent supervising them, she would actually be supervising them under our program. And so we would still have oversight on all of those cases. That's the intent. And so the reason that they want it is because they know that we probably do a better job than what they do. We know who all of these people are, that we know, where they live at. And so they would prefer them to be under our, on our caseload. They prefer them to be under our program. And so I don't think it would diminish it at all.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing,
Okay.
but that's all I have. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. There's a motion on the floor by Haipa, asking for a question, second, sorry about that. Second by Ole Agency. Question by Tokunawa.
Since you're adding language, is this pending legal review then?
We could do that.
To the motion maker, you're gonna amend that for
Yes.
pending legal, okay?
And to be clear, Joan, currently, as it is, these excess people are already under the state thing, but this addendum, this new contract is going to say it's under yours, even though the state's going to help.
Well, actually, they're still under our
us.
caseload. And the
Okay.
reason is because we didn't have a parole agent.
Right.
And so in the agreement, you'll see that the state takes over when we don't have a parole agent and until they've completed their training. So they're still all on our caseload.
Okay,
This will just allow it to continue.
thank you.
Okay, recording secretary calling for vote.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana,
Yes.
Brandon Adams,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Deanne Crawford.
Mr. Chairman, I just
Go
have a
ahead.
question. So this hasn't been reviewed by legal?
Well, not that I've explained it to her. She's reviewed the draft. She has not reviewed the second page of my memo, but I have talked to her about it and explained what the issues were. So that's the section she would need to review. But the draft itself, she's reviewed.
And that's where all the additions and the changes are on that
There
second
are
page,
some
right?
changes in the draft, but she has not reviewed this section on the second page.
Okay, no.
Curtis Bissonette,
I'm going to say no until we get the final draft.
Tribal Vice Chairman. No. Tribal Secretary.
No.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passes.
Go ahead, Susie.
I wanted to change my vote
You get that, recording secretary? Yeah, Gapta's, yes.
Okay, with that change, the motion is
So do you want me next month then to bring it back in with the
Nope,
change?
actually, if you get the legal review, Mr. Vice Chair, he wants to go in session next week, actually,
Okay,
regarding another issue, so if you have it done by then.
okay. Well, it's up to Megan, so I'll have to ask her.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Dion.
Could we roundtable that? Can we, is that?
You can schedule a roundtable. Where's Christine? Right there. Get with Christine, just let her know. They're open next week
Yes.
before they go into session.
Yeah, that way we
Okay.
can get all the questions and
Okay.
everything answered before.
Okay.
Okay,
Good,
thank you.
thank you.
All right, Christine, you get that? Just get with Joan, and we'll get a roundtable as soon as we can before they go in session. With that, motion to approve Joan White's parole report. So moved by Dion. Second by Kaki Zahaska. Question by Emily Swim.
Deanne Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana,
Yes.
Brandon Adams,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Tribal Vice Chairman. Yes. Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Chairman,
Thank you, members of council. Thank you, Joan. I was hoping I could break a tie to make Louis mad at me. I would have voted yes. Moving on to our agenda, old agency. You got your committee with you. Our agenda says old agency executive committee.
Do you want Megan to go first? No?
No, but it says old agency executive committee. Yapaha, can you play that good, bad, and ugly theme song for him before he gets started, please?
So, we were at our district meeting. Our councilman was questioned about where we're at with Section 17, and we just said we're kind of waiting in the water to see what the tribe was going to do. And so they wanted to be brought forward. That's why Councilman Adams requested time. The only thing that has changed since we've been here last is we had Mr. LaPointe, Director LaPointe, come down to our district, and 3 council members attended, and the chairman attended on Zoom, even though I could hear rappers on the phone where he's eating a sandwich, but he was listening, he said. So, but Mr. LaPointe found a couple points that he wanted changed before he could support that charter. And with those recommendations, Travis made those changes, but I don't think we reintroduced it. And the other concern for Mr. LaPointe was to have it available to all the districts. So with Brandon's report at the district meeting saying that there was other districts interested in doing Section 17, we do have a charter available that would include everybody, or rewording of the charter, depending on which council would act on. I got off the phone. Travis and Dennis are on standby. Mr. LaPointe was on standby, but he had to leave. But he did convey his same message that he had at our meeting. And Veblen was there, old agency was there, and Lake Travis was there, and along with the chairman. But I think we lost the chairman right at the end. In a way, he relayed the fact that he would support that charter with the changes. And he also said today it was okay for me to say that in this room, because I didn't want to say that without his permission. So then the next thing he said is he would gladly come down with the invitation from the Hitancha to visit with his council, either a Zoom roundtable or in session, to show you his point of where he thinks this is a good idea also. So that's all we're doing, is trying to reintroduce this to hopefully move it along. In fact, I leave here, I go down to Watertown. I'm meeting with a company, Indian-owned company, that manufactures diabetic shoes and all the, for legs, partial footing and leg replacement items and other things. She wants to be involved, but like all businesses that come on the reservation, you guys all know this, they're scared of our politics. Who's going to get removed? Who's going to go down the drain? Are things going to change in midstream after they invest millions or thousands? And the only security that we have as a district is that we can keep hands off with politics, even our own politics, especially our own politics at the district level. And I invited all the other district people on this morning, but I'm probably too late. Most of them are at work. They were interested in being here, but I told them 11:30, so they might come walking in later. That's what Brandon told me. But I would like, since you guys have visited with our district member, Mr. O'Berry, I know he's working on a few things for you guys. I welcome the chance for us to work with him also to answer the questions that you guys have or Mr. Paulson has, but I prefer whatever questions you guys have. We're trying to progress as a district where we're non-political. And this is the only anchor we have establishing us as a business in the community. There is so much money out in the real world that want to come on the reservation. Working with Sonny Hill, most of you remember him. He works for an organization that introduced these companies, and that's how I met this company. This company actually has a contract with IHS, VA, and Medicaid to provide these items. And this is a great chance for our district and our community. I'm going to Watertown where they have a clinic and an office, and they also have one. Her daughter works out of an office in Aberdeen. And the one in Watertown, over 80% of the clients are all System Wapton. And they believe that they could have more clients if they could get down there. They have a lot of no-shows because they don't have transportation. By putting an office in the city assistant that belongs to Old Agency District, we'll be able to provide those services to our members, and therefore the tribe providing those services to the people. I think this is a good example of opportunity where we can move ahead. I know Veblen has ideas of expansion. I talked to Francis. They want to get into the business world. Buffalo Lake is already in the business world. But, and I know Emily Swim. Emily Swim wants to sell bullheads up there. So, so they want to capitalize on that bullhead market. So, to all my relatives up there that are listening, better days are coming. So that's why we're back here. You know, we don't want to rock the ship. We want to help our tribe and our district move ahead, and we're sitting on a great opportunity. We missed a couple ships already because this, like Mr. LaPointe, Director LaPointe said, it's going to be a 5-6 month process. And he would gladly come visit with the chairman and his council at any time. So with that, yeah.
I just want to make a mention too. I work very long with Mr. LaPointe too, so
yeah.
Along with Russell.
He said
so
that.
Just keep in mind too, if you want to schedule a roundtable with the leadership here as soon as possible, but I'm going to go with Curtis. You had your hand raised over there. Thanks for your patience.
I just have one question. So if Section 17 is in the question here, is the tribe still have to apply for that in order for you guys to get it?
The way I understand it, you just have to ratify it. You're not responsible for it. No liabilities on you. You just ratify that we're able to go ahead and do this. And that's the way Mr. LaPointe read it also. You know, so, you know, I know there was questions of who we were using. All they did is wrote the charter. They won't be involved with the business at all. This is our business. Our business. Two of my execs are in travel, and I think Will had a doctor appointment or something, but.
Floor is still yours, Chris.
Okay, so how would that be ratified then? Because if just kind of thinking out loud, if you guys can ratify it, then what does this body have to do with anything then?
You guys ratify it. This council ratifies it. Actually, the resolution is in that proposal that was given to the chairman. I think it's in there. If not, we can get that. And of course, Megan can change the ratification to her writing any way she wants, but she's already looked at it, right, Megan? She's read that, you know. Pardon me? Oh, okay, yeah, we haven't submitted a new changes from the director. But we can get that to your office, though, with the changes that the director wanted.
Sure. Go ahead, Dion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I think that, you know, the starting point would be to prepare the application. Correct, Megan? For the tribe. And then when that's approved, and this is my understanding from Greg. So when that application is approved and we move forward, then we're able to honor your request. So I think that's the starting point, is that application for a tribal corporation. So I'm comfortable making that motion.
With BIA, you mean? The application went to BIA?
Yes. And I'll make that motion to start that application process for the tribe.
So moved by
Tribal Commission.
Lake Traverse. Second by what agency? Calling for question. Oh, Dion. Question, he threw me off, Mr. Vice Chair. He was praying real quick. Go ahead, Dallas, floor is yours.
So, how many, I do know that the planning committee was supposed to bring this back to the districts and pretty much give a good lesson to each districts. Now, I know my district, we had 2 RPC members, and neither of them have brought it to my district. And in conversations with my district, they still aren't budging one way or another. So this motion, I will be saying no, because I feel like the community itself has not been educated enough on this with the planning commission as it was supposed to go. And I don't know if that's the fault of the member, like my committee members not bringing it back, or what happened there. But I just want to say that if you guys are moving forward on this, I hope that your district is educated enough in this before we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up with that, your thoughts on that. But as a district representative too, you can make that motion too to represent our district. And I'm just saying that as behalf of a Toconoa member myself. Madam Secretary.
I just had a question, then I'll question the motion. Okay. I guess I'd like to sit down and do the roundtable with Mr. Lapointe before I make a decision on this, because I don't know how you can keep the politics out, because the districts are extensions of the governmental unit here, like spokes on a wheel. There's the districts. So because it's under the auspices of the SWO, what is our liability should it fail? And hopefully it doesn't. But what is the Sistan-Wapton-Oyate's liability should that happen? Because any entity that creates something has to create it under the auspices of the tribe, or it cannot be created, such as Sistan-Wapton Housing Authority. They're under the auspices of the tribe, the umbrella of the tribe, and can only get all those grants because of the government. So I guess I would just like to sit down and I know Buffalo Lake has a successful business, but it's not a Section 17. So I guess I don't know enough about Section 17 to make a decision today until we roundtable it. Thank you, that's all I wanted to say.
Going in order. Curtis, then Dion.
Chairman, can I answer those 2 questions?
Sure, for rebuttal, go ahead.
So with Emily Swim, that was why the meeting was set up with Mr. Lapointe, and everybody was invited. Some said they didn't receive it, but 4 representative of council showed up. So that was to get educated there, along with Travis, and Ross was there, and also Mr. Lapointe and his economic developer was there also. You remember his name? I know he loved the cheeseburgers, that's all I remember. But anyway, so his name was Wimpy. But anyway, they said at that meeting, and Gypsy, hopefully you can remember, there's no liability with Section 17 to the tribe or to my district. And that was proven with the case that was brought up with Lower Brule. There was a misdoing by the investor, and he was the only one that lost money out there. The chairman out there who we spoke to, the leadership out there who we spoke to, I don't know who Travis talked with, but they didn't lose no money. The tribe out there didn't lose no money. It was just the investor in New York that tried to start that bank on Wall Street. But so that was, we extended out trying to get the next thing to a round table with the leadership of the BIA. That's why we did that, because it's pretty hard to go to all the districts in a timely manner. And when you guys get your Chapter 80 or whatever, that would be who we would have approached for this, not RPC. Because like you said, even RPC doesn't understand this. And now with the separation of RPC and planning, you know, Matt's full aware of this, but he's never been directed, as I know of, to address this. Working with Matt, I don't want to put no words in his mouth, but I know he supports Chapter 17. That's the only protection we have. That's the only protection that we have against our investors, and that's the only protection they have against us. It's a mutual thing that keeps us safe from each other, and that's how we move forward. Then, you know, sadly, this is a item that's been brought up since JC's days, and it was a different version of it, like Mr. Paulson said, with gentleman from Winnebago. That was more like an 80, but that guy was a Harvard lawyer. He wrote his own agreement based off of Chapter 17. So if we have a Harvard lawyer that can do that for us here, we'd gladly do it. But the sole protection is for the investors to be able to come on the reservation and not get politically attacked, because they're the ones with the money, you know. So that's kind of my answer of why we're doing this. It's a great opportunity, and I quoted Ross before. His tribe has 4 Section 17s, and many other tribes. There's like 300 Section 17 in the United States with all the tribes. But I know it's something new. Everybody's hesitant. You know, if it takes time to get it done, it takes time to get it done. But we're losing opportunities as those time goes by. But I'm here.
All right, Kakiza Haska, going in order, Bade Hadakia, then we're going to move on. I'm going to call for vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my only concern is that, you know, it keeps getting brought back here. That's the biggest concern I have. So the tribe would ultimately be doing a Section 17 for a subdivision of a district, is how I understood it, with Greg Paulson's his legal memo he did with us. And to me, somebody has to be on the hook if this thing goes south. And my only thing is that if the tribe is ultimately responsible for moving forward with the Section 17, then in my eyes, the tribe is ultimately on the hook for this. And so the other thing is we need to make up our minds on whether or not we're going to do a Chapter 80 or a Section 17. Because our conversations yesterday was to move forward with Chapter 80. And now we're bringing a motion for a Section 17. We're all over the place. We need to decide what we want to do, which direction we want to go. We need to sit down and talk about this at length so everybody has a good understanding of what this entails, because otherwise we're going to get into something that we don't understand and it's going to go south anyway. So that's just my opinion on this, is that my only concern is that the reason why it keeps coming to this body is because we have to do that. The tribe has to put in for a Section 17. And my understanding is the districts can't, right? Without the tribe's blessing, correct? And that was in the memo. So we have to sit down and we have to discuss this. If half want to go, then we gotta hash this out. We can't just be throwing motions out there and not understanding what we're getting into. We got to understand what we're getting into. And I know Jesse said that there was people there, but it's got to be the whole body that's got to be represented. Everybody has a vote here. And we have to make sure that everybody's in the room and on the same page before we move forward with this. Thank you. That's just my only concern. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Kaki Zahaska. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I'm not really comfortable with this either, because I think that our tribe has maintained that treaty status. We're not an IRA tribe. We are a treaty tribe, and we have maintained that, and there were sacrifices that were attached to that. With this, we're adopting part of the Indian Reorganization Act. I'm not comfortable with that, because my great-grandma was one of the proponents of maintaining that treaty status. However, by doing the application, we can choose to submit the application or to not submit the application. It's just doing the application. And that will come back here. That's all. And I think this is gonna keep happening. They're gonna keep coming here. You know what I mean? It's just, personally, I would rather wait until we have that contract in place and seek guidance that way, because, when we had that meeting with Greg, because we did have a meeting with Greg, and Greg was, there were some concerns there. And the other thing was that, we are going towards Chapter 80. I'm just saying the application, and I don't even know how I'm going to vote on it, so you guys do what you need to do. Thank you.
Okay, before calling you, Jesse, representing the Latency District, call for vote, please.
Chairman, I'd like to rebuttal those 2 points, if possible.
You can rebuttal after this. I just want to get the
But it might make a difference on the vote. Maybe not.
floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate your consideration. According to what Long Hollow was saying, is directly in conflict with what the director of the BIA said. You don't have to do a Chapter 17. The tribe doesn't have to. And I was really glad when you guys brought on O'Berry, because I thought he would help clarify it. In fact, I was trying to get a number from him so I can talk to him myself and find out how we can all work on this together. And so I don't agree with that. That's not what the director said. The director said that charter just has to be ratified by the tribe. There's no responsibility to the tribe at all, none. It's all being drummed up. And I appreciate the motion by Lake Traverse for the application, because that's all it is, an application. And my last point is, the tribe can do anything you want. You can do Chapter 17 and you can do an 80. Your 80 could run the local businesses. Your Chapter 17 you would help bring in money from the outside world, where there's millions of dollars out there, you guys. And organizations like Sonny's organization out of the state of Nebraska, they got people dying to get on the reservations. But they have to be on a reservation to do it. So you guys have the great opportunity still. ARPA money might be wherever ARPA money is, but there's still opportunities for tribes to move ahead. I think the 80 committee is important. I think the 17 status is important. I don't think it jeopardizes our sovereignty in any way. In fact, I think it straightens it. And that is why that law was written for the tribes, to be able to grow without government money. So, Pinamiado, for your time, Council, and for listening. From Olense, Nino Wopila.
So now, call for vote, please.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
No.
Brandon Gypsywana,
Yes.
Brandon Adams,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
No.
A. Lydia Amos,
No.
Louis Johnson, Tribal Vice Chairman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
No.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is defeated.
Mr. Vice Chair, Jesse, if you get with Christine to schedule a roundtable, get everybody that's on board so we can have a discussion so we're all clear. Like Madam Secretary, she's not really clear on some of the issues, so.
You want Mr. LaPointe there?
Yes.
So it can be on his convenience?
Yes, well, I could even reach out to him too, but Mr. Vice Chair too.
If you do, because you know your guys' schedule.
All right, we'll do. Will do. Thank you. Go ahead, Dallas.
So with that roundtable, would it be best to have RPC there as well, Dion? Because then that way, if my rep and I are on the same page, that could be better at the district level. So is that okay?
That's fine. I know there might be a lot of people there, so make sure wherever it is, we'll get a good open room so we could all be comfortable. Thank you, members of council. That concludes. Dion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So last October, there was three names of district members from Lake Traverse District that were youth to adult that didn't get in the minutes. And our recording secretary said I have to bring those names so that they can get into the minutes and get on our roster. Those three names are Robin Larson, also known as Ty Karst, Shayna Lee Stevens, and Jordan Derby. So I'd like to make a motion to accept. Is it a motion to accept, Berlin, for the Lake Traverse District?
To acknowledge
The receipt?
those district minutes were never presented to council, so it'd be to
Okay.
acknowledge that 8/26/21
Yeah.
Lake Traverse minutes.
Okay.
And then those names will be spelled out.
Okay. So that's my motion. Thank you.
Motion on the floor by Dion, and I appreciate you making sure your membership are being acknowledged here. Second by Curtis. Question by all agency.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Brandon Adams,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Tribal Vice Chairman. Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
I'm going to turn the floor over to Madam Secretary.
Just real quick, I emailed you all the excerpt from the election code yesterday, and it tells the process of getting your district new enrollees on the roster. I emailed it to you. I don't know if y'all got it. Yeah, but it appears that when you pass your minutes and when DCA comes and the minutes are passed, the easiest thing is for them to just go directly to enrollment with their minutes. And then the motion will be sent over by Verlin or, by the recording secretary or whomever. But that way nobody will be missed. I think that's, a lot of people got missed and then they get upset because it happened last time too. All right, thank you.
Megan?
I just had one additional action item. Tribal Council, sorry about this. The legal department has been working with GSA in regards to the BIA lease between the BIA and our building. The building facility, Carrie Godfrey, had submitted a work order last fall. We've been working on this. There's been issues with getting the documentation. We have finalized a final documents on exactly what we need. But part of that final documentation is we need a motion to authorize either myself or your designee to work with GSA's request for lease proposals to submit an offer on behalf of the tribe. And like I said, it was pertaining to the space lease with the BIA. So previously it was the vice chairman's office, or the vice chairman actually negotiated that, but
So also, Megan, that we missed our end of the lease agreement too. So by not responding, the tribe just entered into another 5-year lease with them automatically?
that's not the information I received, but I can check on
Okay.
that.
When I talked to Mr. Paulson, I think the tribe didn't renew it it lapsed. So we need to probably check on that too.
Okay.
And see where we're at with the lease agreement, because he was under the understanding that if we didn't respond, that it would just keep going for another 5 years. We would be renewed for another 5 years. So that would maybe be something we can check on too.
Yep, so I will check on that, but if we need someone, do you want me to wait for that, for this
Well-
motion?
Well, and the other thing is, I don't understand why, if we did enter just automatically into a lease, that nothing was signed either. I mean, that's a concern for me, is that the GSA would go ahead and just renew our lease automatically without letting us guys know or whatever. And maybe that's not the case, but I mean, it's something to look into, because I know our lease was up.
Yep,
So, okay, thank you.
Anything else, Madam Secretary?
so,
I would just like to make a motion that our legal, Megan LaFramboise, work with GSA to clarify all these issues.
Motion on the floor made by Madam Secretary, calling for a question, or a second? Second by Kakiza Haska. Question by Iagata.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Brandon Adams,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, members of council. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, floor is yours.
Megan, hold on. Along with that motion that was just passed, because I know how long has this been going on, Berlin? With the building in town?
At least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and there's nothing out there. I'd just like to say, Megan, going through this, that in the end, if it's still where it's at, that we just tell the BIA or GIS or whatever, say you can have it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Curtis.
And that's exactly what I want Megan to do too, is to look into, see if there's any binding contract, because we've never seen one. I've never seen one yet. So, and if it's been that long, I mean, we just give it back to them and be done, because it's been a headache anyway, so, and a nuisance. So, thank you for that.
Members of council, that concludes our agenda for today. The motion to adjourn. So moved by Emily Swim, second. Second by Madam Secretary. Members of council, we are adjourned at 11:41.